Welcome everybody to the Travel Collective. Today we're going to meet Joe, who's worked in a dog hotel to test broad beans and dreams of the Canadian Rockies. He has a collection of over 10,000 blurred photos and is going to share with us some stories about the waterways of Europe with his wife, Jan, and their dog, Bonny. So go ahead, April.
Yeah, welcome, Joe. The timer's starting. Tell us what made you get on a boat and stay there.
Well, it's quite an unusual one, really. My wife got sick, sadly, and she was told that she hadn't got very long to live, to be frank, and we decided that we needed to get on with life. And she came up with a zany idea of living on a boat. We were living in a perfectly respectable house with a view up to the stars and everything. And then she came up with the idea of living in this thing that's 57 feet long by 7 feet wide. And I said, I can't believe you're thinking this. Anyhow, we did. And so that's how we came to do it.
Wonderful. And so what a great inspirational story. Just let's go live life at its fullest, right? So can you tell us about some of the characters and the folks that you met along the way? Anybody that stands out, a story from the locals and people that you met?
Well, we met some great friends, some lovely people, to be honest. And you often share things when you're in a mess. And you can be isolated on a boat, on a canal or in a marina, and you do need help. And some of the nicest people we met were people who helped us, and I helped them. One guy needed his lavatory removing. He said, I can't lift it on my own. And I hadn't talked to him before. He said, can you help? So I said, yes. And he became a friend, a really good friend for just about ever.
Oh my goodness.
Sadly, he's died since. But, and people are characters. They have a common goal. They're all in the same boat, you might say.
Love that.
Yeah, but it's we're all sort of trying to be free, and we're trying to be free of the commercial world, and just get on with things and take them as they come. Wait to see what comes around the next bend. That's how I like to describe it. When you're on a boat, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
and you do meet some crazy people, and you meet some. Very occasionally, you meet the odd idiot, but not often. Well, in real life, in the world, you meet idiots regularly. Right. But on the boat, it's sort of spun round really. On the boats, everybody is nice, and you meet the odd idiot. But there's some lovely folks.
Wonderful.
And you get together and share meals, pop on and have a drink and have a cup of coffee or a meal. And it's a very free and inviting and giving way of living.
Wonderful. So tell us about a unique moment, something about, learning how to use the boat or the canals, something that kind of stood out as a highlight. I believe you said you lived on the boats 12 years?
Yeah, we did, yeah. We actually built them ourselves, or we had the shells built.
Oh.
And then I did all the insides. So you're basically building a house, which is a lounge, a kitchen, a bathroom and a bedroom, in a space that's 40 feet long by 6 feet wide. And so spaces are a real premium. And and I remember once, you have hot and cold water, obviously, and mates are doing, but I was plumbing in the toilet, and I plumbed it into the wrong pipe. I plumbed it into the hot by mistake. So we ended up with a hot flush on this boat, which was a source of some amusement to people.
Right.
But that wasn't drastic. It was actually quite comforting on a cold winter's morning.
So do you have any suggestions of if somebody wants to do this, would you tell them to build their own boat? How if somebody said they wanted to do this kind of thing, what would you suggest how would they start?
I would suggest you start by going to looking around the internet, and there's lots of blogs and sites that talk about boating. Get to learn a little bit about like that first. Don't just jump in and buy one. Don't just jump in and start one to fit out, because it's really complicated. It took me 8 months working every day to do one.
Okay.
That didn't work out. It worked out okay, but then we sold that and I did a second one almost straight away. So I learned an awful lot. The best way probably to do it is to go and hire one for a week or two, and just see how you get on. It's physically quite hard work. Some of the locks are 200 years old in England, and the winding gear, you have to wind the paddles to let the water in and out of the locks, and they can be very tough. So you need to be reasonably fit, and hiring a boat, you'll be able to find out whether you can cope with it, whether you like it. Some of the way of life is fairly rudimentary. You know, you don't go along wearing high heels, for example, because you'll fall in the water. There's just no point. You know, everyone wears scruffy clothes, and everyone's sort of anonymous almost in this, in this panic of trying to get around the canal without killing yourself.
Oh no.
Well, it's not so bad, but it's a free way of life, and but a good way to learn is to talk to people and go and try it out yourself, because they're very expensive. You know, in pounds you can pay up to £100,000, $140,000.
Oh.
You know, and that's because they're quite complicated, these things. If you get one to live on, and of course you're going to live, you need hot water, electric. They're quite complicated things these days. Internet, solar power, all sorts of stuff goes into it. So.
Yeah. So are there charges then when you dock up along the canal, or most of the expenses in the layout of the boat?
Most of the expense is in the layout, but there are, it probably, if you live in a marina, that's the costliest way to do it. You'll probably spend up to $10,000 a year for a marina mooring. For that, you'll get electricity laid on, water, a way to get your sewage, showers, mechanical help. But you don't have to live in a marina. You can live on the bank.
Gotcha.
And just constantly cruise. So you get rid of that $6,000 or $10,000 fee immediately.
Oh.
And you need to pay a license, which is about $1,000 a year. You need to pay insurance, obviously, and then you got your costs of heating oil and diesel to run the boat. We used to reckon when we did the narrowboat, it cost us probably $12,000 a year, but that was about the most. That's dollars, about the most expensive way of doing it, I would think. But you can come down to probably $2,000 or $3,000 a year doing it pretty basic.
Wow, sounds like an incredible freeing way to live. That's our 7 minutes, Joe.
All right.
So thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Click below to subscribe if you enjoy these stories. And
well, I know where you are, so I'll come in and have another look.
So travel with us through real stories from real people. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, you're welcome.